All right, another pay-per-view in the books and another example of incompetent judging on a level that is hard to even wrap your brain around. Wait, Jesse, so you think Cejudo won? What? No. What are you talking about bad judging? Oh, we'll get to it. Horrendous judging. Are you talking about in the Sterling and Cejudo fight? Yes, I am. But you think that Sterling won? Yes, I do. So what are you talking about? Oh, we'll get to it. Just in case people haven't actually reviewed the judges' scorecards, we'll get to it. Because here's the thing. If you land on the right answer, but your math is like a kid's doing a math test, and it's like, hey, what's 7 plus 1? And it's like, well, I mean, I assume everyone knows it's 8, right? And then on the side, you see them doing some equation that literally you're like, does this person have brain damage? What is all this? And then they just randomly were like, I don't know, 8, because they're so stupid. They're like, what's the next thing after 7? I tried all this math and I couldn't figure it out. So they just wrote an 8. And you're like, all right, well, somehow you got that right. But clearly you need to be institutionalized because you are a moron. That's basically the judging last night. So we'll get to that. And then I want to talk about Sean O'Malley. I want to talk about how I think that fight's going to go with Aljamain Sterling. I want to talk about Sterling getting hated on in his own hometown. Talk about what's next for Henry Cejudo, because I don't know if you guys have watched the full press conference, but some brilliant reporter, by the way, to the reporter who said the thing I'm going to talk about in this video, brilliant. Absolutely brilliant. One of the smartest questions or plans for a guy. Someone comes out of a fight, they've got an uncertain future, they're talking about retirement, and someone goes, hey, what if you did blah, blah, blah? Best of all time. Best plan of all time ever. So credit to that journalist, and we'll talk about what that was very shortly. And there's probably something else, but I'm forgetting about it, and so we'll get to it when we're in the video. Oh, I'll talk about Conor McGregor trolling Cejudo. That's pretty funny, dude. Anyway, so let's jump into it. Please subscribe to the channel if you have not yet. This is going to be a fire video, as they always are right after an event. And join the hottest MMA community in the world, and I will appreciate that. And then you could join in the conversation below, like the video and all of that. So let's jump right into it. So who do you think won the fight, Jesse on Fire? I think Aljamain Sterling won the fight. Okay. So why? Why would anyone have thought Cejudo won the fight? I don't understand. Let me tell you a thing that I don't think many people seem to realize. Okay. So without even getting into the rounds yet, let me ask everyone who thinks that Cejudo won a question. Do you understand how live betting odds work? It's a serious question. Like, do you understand when I say live betting odds? Do you know what that means? Okay. So what that means is that sports books, you used to only be able to bet on the outcome of a sporting event before the event started. Okay. That changed years ago. Now the odds are constantly updating. Okay. So like, just to make it simpler, in a football game, if a game starts at even money, right? There's no favorite. It's exactly even. If one of the teams goes up 14-0 in the first quarter, then the odds change, right? Because now that team is much more likely to win because they're up 2 touchdowns, right? And so you get less money if you bet on them. So that is what happens in the fight sports books also, or sports, DraftKings is who we're talking about. So DraftKings, new sponsor of this channel, was doing live odds for the fights last night, right? So when we say that the people who are responsible for live odds and sporting events are the best in the business at predicting what the outcomes are going to be in a mathematical equation, I am not overstating that, okay? These sports books have millions and millions of dollars on the line at every moment of any fight or any sporting event. So when they put out live odds of who they think is going to win, it is critical that they get that right, all right? After the 4th round, the live odds, okay, put up by the experts at DraftKings were minus 455 for Sterling. Now, what that means is, in order to win $100, you would have to bet $455 on Sterling, okay? So that's how odds work. So when you see plus 150, what that means is if you bet $100, you will win 150 back. That's because a person's an underdog. If it says minus, what it means is you have to bet that amount in order to win $100. So minus 455 means that Aljamain was an outlandish favorite going into the 5th round. Outlandish. Actually, I'll tell you exactly what it means. Minus 455. It means that Cejudo needs a finish. That's what that means. That means if Cejudo doesn't finish Sterling, then he loses the fight. And that's the absolute best in the business person responsible for live odds. And that's exactly how I had it. So when I was hearing people like, oh, this is a really close fight, I'm like, what are they talking about? I saw people on the side of the screen, and it was like, oh, first one to perfect example. After the 3rd round, right? The first person they showed, I got this 29-28 Cejudo. I was like, what? 29-28? What fight are you watching? And then a couple people were like 30-27 Aljo. That's how I had it. I didn't even have, I had Aljo winning all 3 of the first 3 rounds. I realize now everybody is saying like, oh, Cejudo got the second, so let's just give him the second. Fine. Like he can have the second round. It doesn't even matter. He very, very clearly won the 1st, 3rd, and 4th. Like to me, clearly not close. And so I don't understand. I don't understand what they were looking at. I saw the Weasel did his breakdown and he agreed. This was my opinion before. Like I said, I thought he won the second round too, but before knowing what the Weasel, he apparently broke down the 3rd and 4th round. I didn't watch the videos. I just skipped to the part and he said that Aljo won the 3rd and the 4th. Not that that's definitive, but he did a film study. I watched the fight last night. I watched it again this morning. And I honestly have no idea how anyone could think that fight was so close. I don't get it. I have no idea. And this is my hypothesis, okay? Genuine hypothesis. Then we'll talk about the idiot judges. So one thing that Aljamain said in the press conference that I thought was very insightful and is probably something that is contributing to this is he said that he thinks that judges and people observing the fight give a lot of credence to the person who is walking forward. So like if a person is the one who's walking someone down, in their mind, they're like, this is the guy that's pushing the action. And so it appears to them as if that guy is winning, when in reality, what's going on is a constant moving dance. Like this is what it's like to be in there. Person moves forward, you move backwards. Person moves forward, you move backwards. You move to the side. It's all about distance. You're playing tag. All you're doing when you're striking is you're trying to get in there and touch the other guy before he touches you. Forget about the fact that you're trying to knock them out or trying to break their ribs or whatever. Think about it like you're a kid. Like you're a kid or someone in your jiu-jitsu class. And like the goal is touch the other guy without letting him touch you. So you circle each other, you dive in, you try to touch them without them touching you. That's all that's going on in there. And so a person who's moving forward and you're moving backwards so that you can set up the time that you want to shoot in and try to touch them. Who cares if the person's moving forward? How does that matter? I think that people who have not done this, listen, like that sounded smart to me. I don't know, because to me, obviously I don't give any credence to the person who's just walking forward, but that does make sense to me because I don't understand how anybody could have scored it for Cejudo otherwise. And so, yeah, dude, the person who's walking backwards and circling around is controlling the action if that's working for them. If they are choosing when they actually engage and they're making the guy walk forward and they're getting, they're having more success than the other guy, that's not them retreating. That's strategy, obviously. Now, the other thing too that I think is very notable is I also did not understand why anyone thought Volkanovski won the Islam fight either. Now, in hindsight, watching that one back a second time, that one was closer than I thought. Like I thought Islam won for sure watching it the first time. And then the second time, I still thought Islam won, but it was closer than I thought. Here is what both of those fights have in common, where you have this big controversy over who won when, to me, clearly the guy who won did actually win. Again, no help from the judges. They got lucky that they got it right. I think that people know how fights are scored, but they don't connect how fights are scored to how they interpret the fight. For some reason, it's kind of bizarre because it's so simple, but it's like if you know that they're counting the rounds, then it's as simple as this. You just go the end of each round. It's like you literally just put like a chalk mark for who you think won that round and then forget about it. Okay? And like as an example, in the Max Holloway versus Volkanovski fight, the second one, that one was really close. Holloway beat the brakes off of Volkanovski in the first 2 rounds. Really really dominated him the first 2 rounds. But 10-9 rounds nonetheless. And then Volkanovski very clearly edged out the last 3 rounds. I had Volkanovski winning the fight, and it was like tons of controversy. And I'm like, do they not know how to count? Like, he clearly won those last 3 rounds. Yeah, I mean, Holloway was more dominant in the first 2, but this is a matter of, this is like best out of 5. Like, dude, it's just count. And in both the Volkanovski and Islam fight and this one, the losing guy clearly won the 5th round. Now, Volkanovski's fight ended with Islam looking exhausted and Volkanovski on top, and it was like really like, wow, really powerful image at the end of the fight where Volkanovski seemed to be in dominant control. But what does that have to do with the outcome of the fight if you're only talking about 1 round? And that's exactly what it was. I mean, clearly Cejudo won the 5th round, and to me, that's the only round that was crystal clear that Cejudo won. Not even to me. It is the only round that was crystal clear that he won. Everyone's saying like the second round was so clearly Cejudo's. What are you talking about? Go watch it again. I just watched it. Watch it again. If you think that it was crystal clear, watch it again. And apparently one thing that I heard is that a lot of people who were physically at the event thought it was really, really close. And a lot of the people who were at home had it for Sterling. And I will absolutely testify to the fact that you will see the fight very different when you are in person, for sure. Absolutely, for sure. It looks totally different when you're at the fight. And like I have said, every single time that I have talked about this, the more credible eyeballs are the ones at home. Absolutely. I'm cage side for the Izzy and Alex fight, and I come back and I'm basically as close as the guys in the corner are, and I'm saying I nonetheless have the least credible opinion on who won. As a matter of fact, when I go to the event, I never come on here and try to tell you guys who I think won. Never. I just don't do it because I know my opinion is not credible because I didn't watch it on television. On television, that's a credible opinion. So I honestly have no idea what people were looking at, thinking that Cejudo won. I don't understand. I'm telling you, go watch it again. That's all I can say. It's not close. It's not a close fight. And even like Sterling went into the press conference, was kind of like, yeah, it was a really, really close fight. I'm like, dude, I'm not biased. I was rooting for Henry Cejudo. I had picked Henry Cejudo to win. I wanted to look smart. I picked Belal, but I picked Cejudo to win, and it didn't play out the way that I expected at all. And that's the next thing that we're going to talk about is how Aljamain and O'Malley matchup. Actually, you know what? I might do that on a separate video just because this thing is going to be so long, dude. I can't expect people to watch a 30-minute video, and that's an important video to break down. So I'll save that for a different video. Anyway, but let's also talk about the judges now. So when I say that the judges tripped over their dicks and got the right answer, well, first of all, one of them got it wrong. And all I'm going to say is pull up the judges' scorecards and look at the rounds. Look at how the judges scored the rounds. And if you think it's like, why are you being so hard on them? Watch the fight. Watch the fight and then go look at these judges' scorecards. It's like 3 blind mice, 3 blind. Like, what are you looking at? Seriously, one of those guys scored the 5th round for Sterling. What? How could you have possibly scored that for? What are you talking about? Cejudo clearly won that round. I'm pretty sure one of the guys scored the 1st round for Cejudo. Okay, like I know Cejudo got that takedown. Cool. What'd you do with it? Nothing. And then Aljo reversed it. He landed a million more strikes. He beat the brakes off of him against the fence. He took his back almost. Like, what are you talking about? Cejudo landed 4 strikes in the first round. 4 strikes in the first round. And he got 1 takedown. 4 strikes, 1 takedown. and one of them scored the round for Cejudo. What are you doing? How on earth could you like what are you looking at? So that's what it is when it comes to the judging. Morons. Straight up. Now, let's talk about the storyline that was fed by the journalist that was so genius. So Cejudo is sitting there in the press conference and they're like, what's next? Where you're going to retire? Or, and Cejudo's really on the fence, right? Like Cejudo's like, one thing that was really notable was Cejudo's like, well, first of all, I want to say this. Cejudo said it was a really close fight. I mean, I don't agree. I'm a big fan of Cejudo, obviously, but like, I don't agree that it was a close fight. But nonetheless, he's like, in his mind, he thinks it's a close fight at the time. I mean, it's not like it was a total domination. Like, I'm not saying that he got dominated. I'm just saying in terms of scoring the fight, it wasn't challenging. But nonetheless, so in his mind, it's really close. It's a split decision. And I always just think it's so interesting how like fighters interpret this stuff where like he's like about to retire after not getting the decision where like it had one of the judges just been like, actually, I think Henry won. Just giving one of the rounds to Henry. Then he wins. He's the champion and he's off to fight Volkanovski. It's like, and all that happened is just some Dunsky that scored the 10th, the fifth round for Sterling, gave the fight to Sterling when in reality, he scored the entire fight wrong, which is the only, I mean, it's like, like you do all the training, you go out there, you fight, and then it comes down to these three morons' opinions, right? And then you're going to alter the trajectory of your life around what these idiots think over here. It's just interesting. But nonetheless, so they're asking him what he's going to do. He's like, kind of like, I might retire. I don't know. I got to go watch the fight. And he's like, what my plan was to do this, then go beat O'Malley, and then go after Volkanovski. And so first I will say, dude, Cejudo does not want that. I mean, it goes without saying, dude. He does not want that Volkanovski will beat the living fuck out of Cejudo. He will beat his motherfucking ass, dude. He will whip his fucking ass into the ground. That is not a close fight. That is a fucking mismatch. And we know that because you could be like, oh, what about the wrestling edge? It's like, I don't know. Who do you think 155-pound Islam Makhachev couldn't wrestle fuck Volkanovski? You think 135-pound moving up, Henry Cejudo is going to do a better job than Islam Makhachev at 55? I doubt that. As in, like, no, he won't. So, yeah, that fight, that's a terrible fight for Cejudo. So the genius plan that this journalist comes up with is he goes, hey, why don't you come back and you fight Merab, his best friend, you win that fight, then you get another shot at Aljo and you go win the title. And you literally watch Henry Cejudo go, and his eyes just got this big. He's all, I like these storylines because that's genius. Because like, if you think about it, it's like all there has been thus far is this weird thing where it's like, no, Merab is not going to fight Aljo. Merab's not going to fight Aljo. And Merab's just sitting there like trusting that Aljo's going to move up, right? Oh, yeah, he's going to move up. He's going to move up. It's like, I mean, this is pretty convenient for Aljo, right? Like he's making millions of dollars now. You're not. And you're just allowing him to keep fighting, hey, just one more, Merab. Like I'm just going to do one more at 35. We'll see. We'll see. It's a lot of money to give up, dude, to go up and be a challenger at 45. So, but that whole storyline, it kind of like jams up the division a little bit. And it's like now after that conversation, you think you're like, wow, this actually presents incredible opportunity, which is a great storyline. This guy's best friend who won't fight for the title is very similar to a title shot because you get to fight the champion's best friend. And if you beat him, then you get to fight the champion again in a real grudge match if you beat the brakes off his best friend. Genius. Absolutely genius. Credit to that journalist. That was that is actually the smartest question I have ever heard an MMA journalist ask. 100%. I go hard on idiot journalists when they're stupid. That's the best question ever asked in a UFC post-fight, press conference. I mean, the press conference normally is like, lame question or just like kind of like cookie cutter question. And then what's interesting is what the fighter says or what Dana says. Never have I heard a journalist come up with such an incredible idea because that's brilliant. That is absolutely brilliant. And that's exactly right. That is exactly what they should do. It's a fascinating matchup, right? Merab's a great wrestler, but can like him just coming forward and trying to wrestle fuck him like he did with Peter Yan. That's a very different matchup. So that's a really interesting fight. And if Cejudo wins, he gets to get right back on the horse and do the things he wants to do. So that they should do for 100% sure. So there's that. Now, O'Malley comes into the ring and Merab took his jacket. That was hilarious. Well, actually, he didn't even take his jacket. O'Malley handed it to him. And then he put it on, which is hilarious. Merab is funny, dude. Merab is funny. That guy'd be fun to drink with, man. You can just see he's just like a good time Charlie. Like that guy's never been in a bad mood in his entire life. He just looks like a guy who's never been in a bad mood. Oh, O'Malley handed me his jacket. I'm going to put it on, dude. I'm going to put it on. I'm going to go get on the cage. What's up? Oh, you guys like me in O'Malley's jacket? You like that? You like that? Oh, you mad? Oh, you're mad? Well, come get it, dude. Come get it. So, oh yeah, I'm gonna avoid talking about the O'Malley and Sterling matchup for now, and we'll talk about that in a separate video. But yeah, so then the last two things I want to talk about is Belal. Man, what a performance, dude! People were like, "What a terrible fight! What are you talking about? What I don't know. Like, what are you talking about, dude?" He like Gilbert Burns he injured one of his arms. Like his whole arm was gone. He's fighting one armed. And it's not like he got injured for no reason. Like Belal injured his arm with a vicious knee. As far as I understand it, I had the commentary up and down, and I think I had the commentary down. But as I understand it, he injured his like shoulder or arm, in that second round, and then so the rest of the fight he's one armed. I mean, I don't know. It wasn't like a fantastic fight, but it was a fantastic performance from Belal coming off of Ramadan. It's Gilbert Burns, dude. It's Gilbert Burns. If people don't understand how good he is, like he's incredible. Gilbert Burns is so good. He's so good. And at a certain point, people are going to have to recognize, like, this is not luck. Like, there's nothing lucky about what Belal's doing, dude. He's not just beating guys. Like, he's not just like winning fights. He's beating guys. Like, he's beating them handily. These have not been close decisions. Yeah, you would have liked to see him get a finish last night, whatever. Like, Gilbert Burns is not easy to finish at all. He beat the brakes off of both Luque and Sean Brady. Finished Sean Brady. He's nasty, dude. That kick to the body, man, you do not want that, dude. You do not want that kick to the body that Belal is throwing. Now, it sucks he's going to have to sit out forever, He's going to have to sit out forever because he's getting the next title shot. And I know from talking to him that is his, that's what it's all about for him. He wants to go win the title. And now he has a guaranteed title shot. He's not going to risk it for another fight. And you've got Colby versus Leon. And what do those two guys have in common? They never, ever fight. Those guys never fight. Colby and Leon are the two least active fighters on earth. Now Leon, I will, of course, say has a bad rap because of COVID. Like, COVID really like pushed him back where he was getting blocked from fighting. But he already is like, yeah, I've got the title. I don't want to fight for a while. I don't feel like fighting right this second. I want to chill. I understand, dude. He's got a lot of money. He doesn't want to go to a camp. He wants to chill and enjoy his money. I get it. I would do the same thing. But nonetheless, for Belal and Colby, Colby literally fought 13 months ago. And when did he fight before that? He fights once a year. Once a calendar year. So I don't know, man. If I was Belal, I would be elated that I won that fight, and simultaneously I would be having an anxiety attack, because as fighters, this is what people seem like don't think about, right? When they have to wait and they don't fight, they're not making money. Okay? Like, they're not making money. And so, yeah, so Belal, let's say Belal, for the co-main event, let's say, I have no idea what his deal is, but let's say he made $400,000 last night, with his win bonus. Okay, so $400,000, you should be able to save a lot. Like, you get a $400,000 paycheck. You should be thinking like, okay, I get to, like, even after you pay everybody out and everything else, You should be thinking like, okay, I get to save $100,000 of this for retirement or whatever, or I get to invest it in a property or what, like something like that's a lot of money to where you're thinking way beyond, I just need to like pay my bills. But if you have no idea when you're going to be able to fight next and you're looking at this situation right here, dude, that money might have to last you 18 months, you know? And I realize like to like younger people that probably is like, well, yeah, that's easy. Like my bills are $3,000. Okay, well, trust me, when I was 24, 25 years old, that's what I would have thought too. And I remember guys who had kids and stuff would tell me what their monthly nut was. And they'd be like, man, like my monthly nut's $9,000. I'd be like, $9,000? How is it even possible? And they would walk me through it. I remember just thinking like, that's insanity, dude. $9,000. That's nuts. And trust me, dude, when you have a wife, kids, mortgage, car payments, all that stuff adds up, dude. And I'm just, like, I mean, 9 might be high, but like you easily get to 7. Easily. Post taxes, 7 a month just to like do the like regular life. So I would be, I mean, just me personally, I'd be stressing out if I was him a little bit, just because if I have no idea, like, I don't know when I'm going to get to fight. And you got to somehow stay focused on that you're going to get a title shot next and just, you know, and just, because the other thing too is like, even like you have a big amount of money, but you're just watching it go down every single month. Like even if you have a lot of money in savings, when you're just watching it go down, it is so stressful, man. So I don't know. Anyway, but congratulations to Belal. Congratulations to Sterling. I don't understand why Sterling is so unpopular. They're chanting for Cejudo in his own hometown, dude. I don't get it. What do you ever like? What did Aljamain ever do to New Jersey? He's a hometown boy, and they're like booing him and they're chanting Cejudo in the first round. Like I don't understand. Cejudo, like seriously. Actually, I'll save that. I'll save that for the O'Malley fight. I have something very notable about. Actually, you know what? This is the end of the video. I'm gonna say it right now, and I'll say it in the O'Malley video. So one thing that I noticed about Aljo, right, is this. So if you fight, if you train in anything, right, especially, well, no, I guess you have to have done both. But if you've trained in both things, striking and grappling, then you know in both things how important body type is, okay? Like there are certain things that you cannot change about yourself. You can train as much as you want, but your arms are never going to get longer, right? Your legs are never going to get longer or shorter, okay? You're never, like, you could bulk up. You're not going to be able to become more compact. You're not, you know, like there's just, you have the body that you have, and then you do the best that you can with it. And it makes an enormous difference how you are able to apply the martial art that you are training in, right? And so literally, like most everyone falls into one of two categories that, you know, if you really think about it, it's like, or three categories. There are guys who are long and lanky. There are guys who are tight, little boxy guys. And then there are these guys who are kind of like right in between that, where they're not really super strong in either direction. They're like, just like kind of right in the middle. And those are the three, you know, categories. Aljamain is built amazing for both. Like I was looking at his body afterwards and I was like, oh dude, that's why he's so good. Or at least, I mean, not the only reason, but that is one of the reasons he's so good. Because he is built, like he has this really, really weird kind of distribution of like where he carries muscle, how long his arms are, how long his legs are. He is simultaneously built to be exceptional at both being long, so he can choke guys. He can like, you know, he can do all kinds of crazy stuff that all guys like me, these little like boxy fuckers are so jealous. I'm like, man, I wish I could fucking triangle guys like that easy. But then guys like that, they fight a guy like me and they're like, I don't understand how a person could put this much pressure on me from the top. Like this is incredibly challenging to deal with. You know, it's like it's one or the other. I'm like, fuck, I wish I could be one of those spinny guys off my back that does all these crazy attacks with my legs and whatever. But then from the top, it's like, this guy's a fucking nightmare. You know, I mean, obviously for the skill level, whatever. I'm not, anyway. But that's my point, is the body type. Aljamain has super long limbs, and simultaneously he's also a box. Like, so he is like, that's why his grappling is ridiculous, because he's both got these super long arms, super long legs, and he's also built to smash. He has the perfect body type to fight. Perfect. You could not literally build a better physical build for a fighter, you know, obviously in his weight class, than Aljamain. He is like, literally, he's like, you went into a lab and you were like, how could we make someone who's exceptional at both of these things? And it's Aljo. He's not that middle thing. He's not the one thing. He's not the other. He is literally in both categories exceptional. And he's the only person I can think of that really sticks out as that, you know? So he's so strong, dude. His grappling is so strong. His top pressure is ridiculous. He's a back smasher, but also he's super long. I'm sure his triangles are super nasty from his back. And then the striking, obviously, I didn't even talk about the striking. You know, like the striking, he gets to hit guys from super far away, but he's also compact, so he's quick. You know, usually the guys on the feet that are super long are going to give up a certain amount of like quick twitch. Now that's why O'Malley's so nasty on the feet. Okay. So like anybody who's super elite, there's something about them that gives them an edge over most people who yada, yada, right? Like O'Malley is super long, right? He's super tall, super lanky. And usually those guys are not super snappy, crazy quick twitch fast. That's not generally how their like muscle fibers work. And O'Malley is super fast, super twitchy, and obviously an incredible striker, and also very long. That's why he's so good. And Sandhagen is similar in that body type, and he's still super fast and snappy. Not quite as snappy as O'Malley though, but he's a different puzzle to solve. So anyway, that is what it is. That's what it is. I've been talking for 32 minutes. I'm going to sign this one off, and I am going to go record the one about the O'Malley and Aljamain fight, and I will probably repeat some of the things I just said, but I have a lot of other things to say too, because I didn't even tell you who I think is going to win. Anyway, I love you guys. Chat soon. Peace.